Hello everybody, this is Jan of Jan Hicks Creates. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my crazy, crafty life. Lots going on, lots of exciting stitching happening. At least I'm excited about it. Hope you will be too. Little bit of a life update. We are looking at leaving here February 28th or 29th to get into Phoenix. We're heading to Phoenix first. That's where our RV is stored, but also Mike's parents, you know, they've had a lot of health up and downs over this past year. And they decided they needed to, they live on one side of the Valley of Phoenix, and Mayo Clinic, where they have all their doctor's appointments and any hospital visits, is on the other side of the valley. So this past year has involved a lot of driving back and forth across the valley, hour and a half, depending on traffic. And they don't take the freeways anymore. So they put themselves on a waiting list for an assisted living facility. They'll be in the independent unit still, that's over by Mayo. They got the call that they can move in as of March 1st. And of course, we're going to help them. So Mike let the HR department at work know that he has a hard deadline to be out of here and be in Phoenix by March 1st. So that's what we're aiming for. Of course, it's all dependent on the orders and the government actually, you know, working. What a concept. But we're hoping it might be close, but we're hoping to be in San Antonio the first or second week of February to do a house hunting trip, and then come home, pack out, and head back over to Phoenix, spend a week in Phoenix helping Mike's parents move, and then get into the RV and drive to San Antonio. So everything is crossed. Everything is crossed that it all works out like we have it planned in our heads. So we'll see. Guess what? My notes are over here, so forgive me for continuing to look over here. Guess what? Thursday is my 2-year anniversary on Flosstube. What? I was sitting eating lunch the other day and I thought, you know, didn't I start my Flosstube channel at the beginning of the year? It was in January, but was it last year? It hasn't been 2 years, has it? So I had to look up the date of my first video. Sure enough, 2 years. January 2018 was when I started, January 16th. So I have on my Facebook group, Jan Hicks Creates, my business page, I don't know whether I'd call it a contest going, although I guess it could be called a contest because there is going to be winners. There's a post pinned at the top where I'm asking to give me ideas of what I can do for a prize. I don't want to have to mail anything. This last mailing just about killed me. So this time around, I want to wait to get back to the mainland before I start mailing anything again. But, so I have this contest going on my Facebook business page, Jan Hicks Creates. Give me suggestions of things I can do. I've already gotten so many great suggestions. I want to do them all. But I have the top ones kind of rolling around in my brain. I am going to pick one of those to do, so there will be a winner of that idea, and whosever idea I choose will also win something. 2 years. Exciting stuff. Let's see. Bloomtopia. I've talked about this before. You know that I did a color conversion. I showed you that, all the different colors last week. I got a blog post up, first blog post in a while, on my blog, madforyarn.com, listing all of the relevant links for the stitch along, where to go to donate to Make-A-Wish, and the links for all the different flosses and the fabric that I chose, because it's charted in DMC or Aurifil cotton. I chose a bunch of Weeks Dye Works, and I'm using one of Mrs. Sada's silk flosses in it as well. So those are all linked. They are affiliate links. I've become an affiliate of Fat Quarter Shop, so those are affiliate links. But yeah, if you're interested in my conversion, I have a picture of my fabric and all the flosses on it. I have a picture of the DMC that it's called for. There's a picture of the design, and then all the links to all the different things. So I invite you to go to madforyarn.com/blog. There is going to be a link in the description block below as well, for you to get there. So if you want to check that out. Let's see. And that starts February 1st. So if you're planning on joining, it's time to start thinking about it. And again, a great fundraiser for Make-A-Wish Foundation. They are hoping to raise $30,000 this year. The $30,000 will be partly our contributions and then matching by Fat Quarter Shop and Motive Fabrics. And they also have the quilt along. They've been doing the quilt along for 7 years, and now this year they've added the stitch along as well. So if you're interested, time to start gathering the supplies. A couple more fundraisers for Australia. Heaven and Earth Designs put out, they teamed up with an artist named Dakota Detweiler. She has a painting called Sad Koala that they have converted into cross stitch. And that pattern is up on the Heaven and Earth Design site. It is a limited edition. I think it's a very limited, like, I don't remember the exact dates, but it's only going to be available for a couple weeks. So if you want to go ahead and grab it, I will put the link below. I don't know that I'll ever stitch it, but it's for a good cause. So I'm all about that. Also, Hands Across the Sea. You've probably seen this one as well. Hands Across the Sea has teamed up with with an Australian, I don't know whether she also does reproduction samplers or she just found, this is one she owns. It's called the Jane Marshall 1857, I think, sampler. I don't know that date's right. I have to look at it again. And I will be showing you that in a little bit. So it is an Australian sampler that Nicola and this other woman, Susanna, I think have reproduced. The proceeds for that go to 2 of the rural firefighting groups. And I think the Heaven and Earth Design one does as well. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, great causes. There's a great write-up on the Heaven and Earth Designs, not the Heaven and Earth Designs, Hands Across the Sea website for that sampler about the background of the people that like stitched it and helped to reproduce it. They have, both of those families have ties to these 2 rural firefighting. They're volunteer, the firefighting organizations are volunteer in Australia. So both of their husbands volunteer in those, and really interesting information. And of course, they've been fighting these fires now for weeks and months, and they're running out of energy and the equipment's breaking down. So these fundraisers are very important. Speaking of fundraisers, Puerto Rico, 2 earthquakes in the past week and a half, on top of the hurricane damage from last summer. Someone reached out to me to ask if I would be interested in charting something to sell to raise money for them. I don't know what fundraiser yet or what organization yet. I think she's willing to help me figure out one. I am going to do something. I haven't started yet, but that is on my mind as well. So stay tuned for that. If you have in your heart Puerto Rico, keep them in your heart regardless, of course. But I will be working up something for that. Follow up on the metallics how-to video from yesterday, the basics of cross stitch. I had one person, I talked in it about how with the Kreinik thread being on that spool, when you take that thread off and cut off a length, it just like accordions, coils up on you, and that kind of makes it a pain in the butt. On top of it already being a pain in the butt, right? One woman suggested or said that what she does is she has a flat curling iron, and I guess it has maybe different levels of heat, and she uses that to kind of iron out the thread. So if you have one of those, that's kind of a brilliant tip. And then if you did watch my video, you saw I was kind of experimenting. I showed you how to manage when you're using 2 strands of the metallic, and I kind of had a little light bulb go off and said, well, you could do this as well, kind of a loop around the needle method with 1 strand, but I had never actually done it, so I was kind of experimenting on camera yesterday. Well, another brilliant viewer commented and said, use your needle threader to just pull the loop through without having to do what I was trying to do yesterday. So thank you both for those tips. Those are very helpful and I appreciate it. All right, I think that's all the notey note stuff. I have a finish. I am so thrilled with this. My Winter Flourish designs. Design, it's just a singular. Although there are many more flourishes to come. I am thrilled, thrilled, thrilled with how this turned out. As I mentioned before, I was not sure that it would work, but I'm thrilled with it. So Winter Flourish is the first of my word art, digital scrapbooking word art designs transferred into cross stitch. You can find this on my shop. It will be linked below. So yeah, very, very happy with it. Okay. Okay, stitching. When I left you last week, I still had 1 day to stitch on Farewell to Anger. So that was Tuesday night's work. So that's what I got done. I miss it. I miss it. I look at those colors and think, oh, I want to see what happens next. But this got put away, and I don't expect, in fact, I'll be taking it off the Q-snap here. I don't expect to get back to this until March in San Antonio. I have to figure out what I'm going to work on in Phoenix, what I'm going to work on in the RV trip. It'll take 4 days to drive from Phoenix over to San Antonio. So I don't know whether I want to work on that. I could take it to work on in the evenings. It's not something I'd work on while we're driving. I don't have a clue. I have time to figure that out though, don't I? Okay, the next thing, I had a new start last night. I couldn't resist. So I mentioned, I need to find it for you. I mentioned the Hands Across the Sea fundraising sampler. I'm looking in Knit Companion. So I do still use Knit Companion. Oh, it is 1857, just like I know what I'm talking about. I do still use Knit Companion for the PDF patterns that do not work in Pattern Keeper, which really is most of them, unless it's a full coverage company, right? All right, so here it is. Jane Marshall, 1857, a fundraiser for 2 brigades of the NSW Rural Fire Service. It is only available as a PDF. So, again, on the Hands Across the Sea website, and I will link that below. Nicola was getting slammed with orders. I don't know what the total is now, but they are doing a great job raising money for this organization. She was getting slammed with orders, so I don't know if she still is. But it did take like, well, I guess I ordered it in the evening, and by the time I got up the next morning, it was there. So it's not like it's going to come immediately. Isn't this a sweet little sampler? It is charted in 3 different fibers. SWA 100.3, that's, I think that's surfine, that's the very thin silk. So if you're using a high count, like a 56 count, that's what you would use. SWA d'Alger, and then DMC. I'm not using any of those. Of course. I pulled out pretty kind of sort of equivalents in Mrs. Sada's silk. It was hard to find exact matches, of course. I kind of just eyeballed it. The greens are probably the ones that are most off, because the greens in this are kind of softer. Expand that a little bit for you. Can you see that? But I'm okay with that. It's close. I started down in the lower right corner because I wanted to work on that gorgeous band on the bottom. So, Mrs. Seda Silk, I have not yet done a conversion or a, on my conversion page on my blog, I haven't written this up. Raquel is also going to do this, Mrs. Sadis herself, in her silks. She is using slightly different ones than I am. So I'm going to ask her, she listed them out for me on Instagram. I'm going to ask her if I can put her conversion in my blog post as well. We have some of the same ones and some different. So I am using a 40 count Liberty, do I sound like the commercial? Liberty Gathering Gray by R&R. Liberty Bibbity. Mike loves that. Isn't that pretty? I worked, of course, I did the little bit of this border and then I started working this little half of the flower and just, oh, it's so pretty. Mike got called into work last night. So I'm sitting there by myself going, oh, it's so pretty. It really is so pretty. The colors are probably a little bit brighter than, you know, the reproduction than the sampler called for, but that's okay. It's so pretty. So anyway, Jane Marshall, 1857. Fundraiser by Hands Across the Sea for Australia. And then the other thing I worked on was Time for Seasons. Talk about so pretty. I love the fabric that I chose and I love the way these colors are looking on this. So the next part comes out tomorrow. You can see I have a chunk of the sky still to do. Got to get the bushes filled in here. I have another little house over here and some bushes. And then I have that big corner piece. Will I get it done? I'll be close. I have until, well, tonight's supposed to be my last night to work on this if I'm doing a week on each project, because this is supposed to be, this is supposed to be my main project for the week. And then I started a new one last night. I couldn't resist. But anyway, hopefully, I'm not going to put this down until it's done, basically. Part 2 is done. Part 3 will be coming out tomorrow, but this will get put away. Part 3 will wait until this comes out to play again in March. So, Time for Season, Stitch Along by the Bay. Love it, love it, love it. Oh. Yeah. So that is that for what I'm working on. I worked on the tapestry knitting a little bit this week, which was more than I had gotten done last week, but not really enough to show. I think I'm up to July in 1966. So I finished that year and then I do 2018, I think. We'll get there. Yeah, so I think that's, was that exciting? I think it's exciting. I think that sampler is going to be stunning. It's going to be hard. I'm going to try and work on that a little bit each day. After Time for Season gets put away, Shades of Gold is going to be coming back out to play. But I'm still going to try and work on the sampler a little bit every day. That'll be my 1 hour project. I'm not doing very good with 1 hour projects these days. I did a blog post this morning on Bloomtopia. You know, my time is going to other things. Such is life. All right, haul. I got some fun stuff in haul too. So I think I mentioned the $150 gift card that we got from Verizon whenever we switched back. And I did order the January Sampler of the Month Club sampler from the attic. I don't know when I'll be getting that. But I also got a couple charts. You know, when you get that kind of thing, it's like, I want to spend it on something special, something I've had my eye on for a long time, but never never felt I could pull the trigger because I knew I wasn't going to be doing it anytime soon. But I finally pulled the trigger because that was like free money, right? European cross stitch. I have wanted this Midnight in the Garden for a long time. This will eventually get stitched in one of Mrs. Sada's silks. I do not know which one yet. I don't know when I'll start it, but I have had my eye on that for ages. And then Siam Fusion. This is another one that every time I look at it, you get actually 2 charts in it. Every time I look at it, I just kind of die. Is that me or is that me? Oh my God. So again, I don't know when I'll start it. It will get done in Mrs. Sada's silks. I love it on the black, so I'll have to get some black fabric. But again, who knows when. And I also got just a little pack of needles. They have permanent needles on the European cross stitch site, so I decided to get some and try them. These are size 28s. They're nice. I've been using them on the sampler, the Jane Marshall sampler. I think I switched out the needle I had in Time for Seasons and started using this as well. So are they as nice as Pat's favorite needles? I don't think they're quite as smooth, but the one thing that I've always had a problem with Pat's favorite needles is, for some reason, and maybe it's just the way I stitch, the eye, and I don't even know how to describe it, but the eye, like the thread will split around the eye so that I can't move the thread within the eye. Does that make sense? And I have to kind of fiddle with it to get the split thread back around. It's odd. The other thing that came this week was my the next installment, the next thing in the Silver Needles Circle of Friends. A little help from our friends. Stitching Circle is the correct way to say it. Club. This one is from Jeanette Douglas. It's called Cozy into Winter. Overdyed flosses, everything's included. The fabric, the overdyed floss, a needle, chenille for finishing. There are specialty stitches in there. How gorgeous is that? I won't start this anytime soon, but look how pretty that is. Jeanette does an amazing job. There were also Jelly Bellies, which are gone. And then they included from Needlework Press, the goodie this month was the 2020 Book of Days. So like something's really telling me I need to journal. I won't use this. This will probably become a giveaway, even though I don't want to mail. This might be part of my 2-year anniversary. Maybe somebody here on the island will win it. Oh, that would be cheating, wouldn't it? All right, it also came wrapped in this, look how pretty that tissue paper is. I had to keep it. This is what the Circle of Friends gift this month was wrapped in, package. Maybe one of you will see one of your gifts wrapped in this someday. Or maybe I'll frame it and hang it on the wall. All right, guys, I think that's it. Except for the angel. I think that's it. It seems like this went awful fast this time, but I don't think I had a whole lot. And that means I can get back to stitching after I get this uploaded. The angel this week says, with a picture of the earth, or the angel holding the earth, and God saw that it was good. And that's very apropos, isn't it? Taking care of our earth, holding our earth in close. When you consider wildfires in Australia, earthquakes in Puerto Rico, a volcano erupting in the Philippines, God saw that it was good. We need to take better care of it. You are a child of God. Fear not, for with God anything is possible. I hope you believe that. I do. I go out on a limb all the time, try different things. Here I am designing cross stitch. Never would have seen that in my future at all. But here I am, second year of Flosstube, designing cross stitch, enjoying this community so much. Can't wait to get to San Antonio and meet the people there in the stitching community. So going to miss these lovely ladies that I've gotten to know here. It's just such a fantastic group here, and I hope you guys continue to meet, continue to get together. I want to hear about it. We talked about me Skyping in on their meeting, so that would be fun too. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get all emotional, and I wore mascara today, so I can't cry. I'm feeling better, so I decided to gussy up a little bit for you guys. I love you. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.